So, good morning, Curie. I just want to make sure you can hear me.
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, great. Okay. At the moment, we've only got one student online. Are you, what year are you in at Finn College?
Level 5, like the should be final year right now, like it at Thailand.
Okay. Have you done the presentation skills course before?
Yes,
Why are you taking it again?
I don't know. The staff said like, oh, we have presentation skill with Mr. John.
When you've taken it before?
Yeah, I took it uh last term.
Hmm. And why are you taking it again then? That's what I can't really fathom.
I do not know. It's like it said level 5, and like they send us the Zoom link and
Okay.
say us to join. So I'll just be here to
Simply.
see if like I already know everything first.
Okay. All right. So you're going to be here for 3 hours?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And when's the next class? You know?
My next class is at 2.
No, I mean the next class for presentation skills.
Oh, for presentation skill. Let me check. Next Tuesday.
Okay. Okay, we'll just wait for a few minutes, see if anybody else turns up.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like you're on your own. All right, so let's begin.
Okay.
And okay, so what's the objective of this course? Well, obviously we want to improve the presentation skills. Do you think you're going to do lots of presentations at university in the UK?
Probably.
Okay. Which university are you planning to go to?
You're Birmingham.
Which Birmingham? UCB or
Yeah,
Birmingham
UCB.
University?
Just UCB.
Mhm. I see. Okay. All right. So the objective is to improve your presentation skills and just improve your general speaking skills. Want to improve your listening a little bit and maybe provide some vocabulary and grammar to be used in presentations and vocabulary and grammar that might be used sort of in daily life at university or in business. And depending on how it goes, we may look at academic presentations at the end of the course. Okay, and we want to also improve your discussion skills. Okay, do you have the document with you that was sent to you?
Oh yeah, I have it.
You do. Okay, so let's have a look at the first page. First page of the presentation is, as you already know, getting to know you. So what I want you to do, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to prepare and want you to give me some details about you. What's your name, hometown, currently residing in? What does currently residing in mean?
Where I'm currently staying.
Okay. Occupation, job, study. Give me some details about your course and your future plans, hobbies, interests, anything else that you think is important. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'll give you, how long do you need? 30 seconds? I'll
Yeah.
give you three, I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to prepare for this and see, and then you can give me some details about you. Okay, so okay, I'll just give you 3 minutes. Let me time you.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 3 minutes. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Puri Kachatpai. My hometown is in Bangkok.
Mhm.
Currently, I'm residing in Hua Hin. Occupation student, undergraduate.
So you're residing in Hua Hin. That means you travel from Hua Hin to Bangkok every day.
Not every day. I like right now. I'm currently just residing in Hua Hin. I'm staying at
Oh,
other places.
because you're not coming to the college. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So right now I'm studying business and travel and tourism. Right now, I'm studying level 5, which I can I just say I'm studying level 5 because like I did
Well,
other.
something about your courses. Give me some details about your courses.
So my courses contain four subjects.
I don't know. No idea. You tell me.
So this is the last. What should I say? So the whole class is doing fast studying. So we will finish the course here in about a year. So we studied we already finished level 4, which we did level 5, but other course like UFTH, the funding and understanding of funding. It should be this. We should study this time, and we should have exam this term. But I already did the exam.
You already did the exam.
Yes.
See. Okay, tell me about future plans, hobbies, interests, anything else that's important?
So future plans, I'll just go to UCB. When I finish UCB, I will find some jobs there in UK. And I want to see first if I like it there. And I'll think again if I'm going to stay in UK for a longer period of time.
Okay.
Interest photography.
Photography.
Yeah, photography. Singing, mixing songs. Bartendering. Like
anything else that's important?
Other important information. I don't think I have other important information.
Okay, all right. So, future plans, you're going to go to UCB. What's the biggest problem in Birmingham at the moment? Sure, you know.
Right now? I don't know really.
There's a strike in Birmingham at the moment.
Oh.
People are not collecting the rubbish. The government workers are not collecting rubbish. So there's 17 tons of rubbish in the streets at the moment.
Oh God.
Hopefully it will all be over by the time you arrive there. Okay. All right, good. Thank you for that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a presentation. And what I want you to do, this is a presentation that did not go very well. Okay, and what I want you to do is to tell me what the problems are with this presentation. Okay, so let me just check the sound, make sure that you can hear it okay.
Okay.
Can you hear that okay, or is it too quiet?
I didn't hear it.
Let me share this again with you. Just one moment.
Okay.
Best, how are you? Best, how are you?
I'm good.
You've done presentation skills before, right?
Yes.
Why are you doing it again?
Teacher asked me to get in the class to study.
Okay. All right, well, it's going to be the same material as you looked at previously, so I wasn't aware that same students would be coming into the class. Okay, so you should be. Can you hear it better now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what I want you to do, this presentation did not go well. And what I want you to do is to write down some notes. What are the problems with this presentation? And then what I want you to do is to discuss the problems with each other and with me after watching the video. Okay. All right, here we go.
Can't get it to work. Can someone help me? Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about paraphrasing. By the end of today's session, you'll know about why we use references, the differences between quotes and paraphrasing, and how to paraphrase. There are three main reasons why it's important to use references. They validate your point of view, plagiarism, and source of future investigation. So there's two ways to reference in text: quotes and paraphrasing. A quotation is when you use another author's statement in your assignment without changing it. Quotation should be used selectively and kept to a minimum. Quotation should not be overly long. Paraphrasing is when you write about a source you have read using your own words. There's more to paraphrasing than just changing one or two words from the original source, and paraphrasing shows your understanding to a reader. This is an example of a quote. In academic writing, it's essential to state the sources of ideas and information. Such references allow readers to refer back to the sources themselves. I'm going to show you how to paraphrase it. Cottrell states that in writing it is important to state the sources of ideas. References allow readers to find the sources themselves. This was my first attempt. That's the original. What do you think?
I
Well, it's not very good because you can see I've only changed one or two words. I changed essential to important, and I changed to find instead of to refer back. so it's not very good.
Okay.
This is my next attempt. Cottrell states that referencing should always be used when using the ideas and opinions of others in academic writings. The original source can be easily located. What do you think about this one?
I think that one.
Anyway, so this is much better. As you can see, I've tried to put it in my own words. So what do you need to include when you're paraphrasing text? You need to put the surname of the author or the name of the organisation. You need to put the year of publication. In a sentence, it might look like this. At the start of a sentence, Cottrell stated that plagiarism is a confusing and difficult concept to fully understand. And at the end of the sentence, plagiarism is confusing and a difficult concept to fully understand. You can see that the author's surname and date is there. Okay, conclusion. Referencing correctly can strengthen your assignments. When paraphrasing, you should write down what the author has said completely in your own words. You must still give credit to the person whose idea you're using when paraphrasing by referencing correctly. Got any questions? No? Okay. Finished.
Okay. So, what are her mistakes? What I want you guys to do, discuss it with each other. What do you think her big mistakes were in that presentation? Okay. Ah, Nina is in the class now. Hi, Nina. Can you hear me? Nina, can you hear me? Nina, can you hear me? Okay. So Best and Puri, I want you to discuss this with each other. And okay, so this. Okay, all right. So Best and Puri, Best and Puri. What do you think her major issues were as far as that presentation were concerned?
Her presentation is very, very hard to read.
What do you mean? It's hard to read.
Her text and the background is not very clear.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Anything else? Beth, how about you? Krit Sanu, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. Fortunately, you just missed the video that we're discussing. So anything else? Best, what do you think was the problem? Best, what do you think was a problem with her presentation? Best. Best, I need you to speak in my classes. They're speaking classes. I don't know why you sort of attend but then don't say anything. I don't get it. Puri, what else was a problem with her presentation?
She's not making eye contact with the audience.
Okay. Anything else?
She's just reading it from the screen. She's not really like rememorize what she have to say.
What should she do?
She should just put like bullet points of keywords that
Mhm.
that can help her and can help the audience in understanding what she said.
All right, good. Now, I have some notes here regarding this presentation. So let's have a look at my notes. Let's see what I came up with, which is the same as Puri, which are different. Whoops. Okay, so what's the problem? First problem was she's not prepared. Okay, she didn't know how to use her equipment, and so it doesn't look very professional. It doesn't look like she's going to do a very good presentation from the beginning. Okay. She didn't look professional when she's doing this presentation. She was drinking water out of a bottle. It looks very casual. Perhaps she should, if she needs to take water to a presentation, maybe she should have it in a glass. It looks a little bit too casual for a professional presentation. As Puri said, she was reading from the screen, and that meant she had her back to the audience. Is that a problem, having your back to the audience, do you think?
Yeah, because like it's not showing that you are talking to the audience. It's more like you're talking to yourself.
Exactly. Right. And if you're reading from the screen, the students already can read the screen. So what's the point? Like Puri said previously, you really need to put some main points, put some points on the screen that you can elaborate on, and that way your audience will get more information directly from you rather than just reading it from the screen. If she's going to read it from the screen, she can send a presentation by email. She doesn't need to do the presentation. Poor body language, folding arms and doesn't look interested. Is this important in a presentation, do you think?
Yeah,
Why?
because if you don't look interested in what you're saying, nobody's gonna be interested in like whatever your presentation is.
Right. So if you're not interested in presentation, it's very unlikely other people are going to be interested. And as you said before, no eye contact. Why is eye contact important in a presentation, do you think? Why is it important to make eye contact with the people in your audience? Best, what do you think? Nina, what do you think?
Like to make sure that she talk with like the audience.
Okay. Kritsunu, what do you think? Why is it important to make eye contact with your audience?
They were not interested what we're saying.
Okay. So typically, if you are not making eye contact with your audience, what's your audience likely to do you think? If you're not looking at everybody in your audience, what are they probably going to do?
Do something else.
For example,
Just get on phones, scroll.
exactly. Yeah, so if you're not making eye contact with your audience, there's a really good chance these days they're going to get their phone out, they're going to start playing with it, and they're not going to follow your presentation. And the purpose of your presentation is to give your audience information, to give them knowledge. And so eye contact is very important in keeping the audience focused on what you're saying. So she didn't introduce herself or get to know the audience. She had her name on the screen, but she didn't introduce herself or get to know the audience. Why is it necessary to do that, do you think? Anybody? Anybody got any ideas on this? Okay, well, if you don't introduce yourself, then there's really no connection between you and the audience. As a result, they're much less likely to follow your presentation. And it's also good to get to know the audience because there may be some specific requirements that your audience might have. Maybe you can just very quickly adapt your presentation to your audience. She didn't really introduce her topics, not 100% clear what she's going to talk about. What was she talking about? Anybody? Krishna, what was she talking about?
Oh, he didn't watch the video.
Uh-huh. Nina, did you watch the video?
Just a little bit.
Okay. What was she talking about?
I'm not sure actually. I watched the video just only like 10 seconds and then
Oh, okay. Best, you watched the video. What was she talking about? Okay, well, she was talking about plagiarism. What is plagiarism?
When you copy like someone else's work,
Okay, is that acceptable in your assignment?
no.
In academia, it's not acceptable to just copy information from other people's assignments and presentations and books. You need to reference them correctly. And that's what she was talking about. But it really wasn't very clear what she was talking about at all. So she really needed to give a very clear introduction of her topic to make sure people were fully aware what she was going to talk about. She doesn't say when questions could be asked. Okay, now, is it important to allow your audience to ask you questions, do you think?
Yes.
Why is that?
So they can clear up like the question that they have, and you doing the presentation should know the answer.
Okay, but there may be issues which come up that are not covered by your presentation. And that means that there's going to be a big gap in the students, in the audience's knowledge. And that's not going to be great because they're not going to have all the information that they require. Okay. So as Puri said before, presentation isn't easy to read and it's not formatted well. Too many different fonts and background color. Okay. In fact, I would say her presentation was almost impossible to read. And it's difficult to hear her speaking. And I think one reason for that is because she's got her back turned to the audience. So that's not a great situation. Other problems. She was speaking very quickly. And the reason that she was speaking very quickly is because she was just reading from the screen. And as we said before, she didn't really need to do that. She could just send the presentation out and then just you can send the details out by email. There's no need to do the presentation.
I mean, yeah.
And too many presentations effects. Now, effects are quite cool though, right? Do you like using effects in your presentations? Things spinning around and things floating around? Are they good?
Yeah.
What's the problem with effects though?
It's distracting
So why is it distracting?
because the audience will look at the effects more than the text. So,
Okay. And they're not listening to your presentation. So as a result, they're not really learning what you need to teach them. Okay, so what's another issue? Reading verbatim from the board. Yeah, so verbatim means exactly what's on the board or what's on the screen. Unnecessary. So her presentation was about plagiarism, but there were about 3 or 4 different points in her presentation. Do you know what those points were? Not really. She didn't highlight those different points. And so as a result, it just became one blur of just words. And as a result, people just no idea what the points of a presentation is. She asks the audience for feedback, but doesn't listen to the audience. Is that a problem?
yes.
Why is it a problem?
Then she don't know what she should like do to make her presentation better, and it cuts the connection between the audience, because like she always speak before they can.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's just kind of rude. Yeah, if you ask somebody for some feedback and then don't listen to them, just continue talking, then just you're not going to have a great relationship with the people that you are dealing with. So let's have a look. Final points. Asks the audience for questions, but didn't wait for any questions. Now, again, if you ask the audience for questions, the questions that they have are going to be related to the information that they need. And so that's not going to be a great for the audience, great situation for the audience. She doesn't finish off well. The presentation isn't recapped well. What do we mean by recap? What does recap mean? Recap. Well, if you recap your presentation, what you do is you will go over your main points, and the purpose of going over your main points is to enable people to remember the points of your presentation clearly. Okay. She didn't recap what she presented, and as a result, the audience won't probably remember the key points of her presentation. Okay, all right, so what have we got for golden rules? Let's skip that one. Okay, so one of the things you really need to do at the beginning of a presentation is to make a very strong start to your presentation. And I believe these are the points that you should cover when you are doing a presentation. First of all, you need to greet your participants. Give them your name, give them your position, make them feel welcome. Okay, talk to your audience a little bit, maybe find out where they're from if you don't know them. You need to give the title of your presentation. Okay, the title of your presentation will give your audience a very good idea of what you are going to be covering, what the purpose of your presentation is. How are they different, the title and the purpose? Well, title of this presentation is presentation skills, but the purpose is to improve your presentation skills, improve your speaking skills, to develop your ability to do business and academic presentation. When you are talking to your audience, it's a great idea to explain how long your presentation will take. Why do we need to do that, do you think?
They will know how long they will attention to our present.
Okay. Why is that necessary?
If we not tell the time, they probably not attention what we saying or interested.
Okay, so they know how long to keep their focus, and if you don't, what will happen?
They will bore.
Well, if they know how long they've got to focus for, then they can do it. But if they don't know, after maybe 2 or 3 minutes, like you said, they may start to feel, oh, this presentation is going to go on for a very long time. And as a result, there may be some issues. And then they may start floating off, looking at their phone, thinking about other things, which is not a great thing to happen during your presentation. So consider the length of time that you will take and make sure that your audience are fully aware of that. The main points that you're going to be covered. So what you need to do is you need to tell them what you're going to be talking about and talk about any visual aids that you will use during your presentation. Maybe you've got slides, maybe you've got a video. Just mention to them what they are going to be talking about, what you're going to be talking about, and what you're going to be showing them. And most important, in your opening, you need to give your audience a statement as to when they can ask questions. And that's very important. Why would you say that's very important? Very important for you to be able to tell your audience when they can ask questions. When do you think that would be? Why do you think that would be necessary?
So the audience didn't like interrupt you.
Okay, so that's one thing. So maybe you can actually tell your audience to interrupt you. Maybe that's the way that you want to work on it. Okay, but the main problem is that if they don't know when they are going to when they're going to be able to ask questions, then they're going to maybe not ask important questions. So they're going to leave your presentation without the type of knowledge that they need from your presentation. So always explain to your audience when they will be able to do a presentation, be able to ask you questions. Okay, so what I want you to do now, I want you to have a look at the document that I sent you. Did everybody get the document that was sent to you? Kritsunu, did you get it?
Yes, sir. I understand.
Okay, and Best, did you get it? Fury, how about you? Did you get the document?
Yeah, the presentation skill part 1, right?
Part 1 and part 2 should have
Yeah.
received.
Got it.
How about you? Did you get it? How about you? Did you get the presentation materials?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Empire, how about you? And Kritsunu, what about you? Did you get the materials?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so open the materials and have a look at it, and let's see what we need to do with it. Okay. All right, so these are what I've just explained to you as making a strong opening, starting your presentation very well. Okay, and various parts that I've just explained, you need a greeting. So, for example, welcome the participants, give them your name, give them your position. So here's a phrase that we can use for that purpose. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's da, 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 da. Okay, and give them the title of your presentation. And today I'd like to talk about, that's a possible phrase that we could use, the purpose of your presentation, what you are going to talk about and why you're going to talk about it. What's your objective? How long you will take to speak. Okay, so my talk should take about X minutes. The main parts or points to be covered in a presentation. I divided my talk into 4 parts. They are, what's the first part, second, third, and fourth part. Talk about the visual aids in my presentation. I'll show you some slides, transparencies. You're going to give them a handout, everything that they need to know about where the information is going to be. You need to explain to them. And a statement as to when the audience may ask questions. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have at the end of my talk. Okay. All right, good. Now have a look at these phrases. We've got some phrases here, and what I want you to do is I want you to tell me where these phrases should go in that list that I've just shown you before. So the subject of my talk today is, where's that going to go, you think? Which part of your opening should it go into, do you think?
Title of your presentation.
Well, okay, so let's put it in there. Subject of my talk today is, okay. Let's have a look at the next phrase. Okay. we've got subject. Welcome to the Grand Sheraton, the Sheraton Grand Hotel. I know that I've met some of you before, but those I haven't. My name's and I'm the name of your company. So where should that go, do you think? Which part of the presentation should it go into?
Greetings.
Yeah, I think that's a very polite greeting. Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay. Okay, and what about this talk is designed to, what's it designed to do, you think? Where are you going to put that?
The purpose of presentation.
Okay, all right, so let's put it in there. Yeah, purpose of your presentation. Okay, and okay, so what about this one? I shall only take about X minutes. Okay. Where were you going to put that one, do you think?
The length of time. All right, good. Now, let's see what we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you into 2 breakout rooms for a few minutes. Okay, and what I want you to do is discuss with your partner where the remaining, okay, so the ones these are in bold, where should these go in your opening? I want you to discuss it with your partner and think about where the best place for them to go is. Okay. So how many people we got? We've got 6 participants. So if I put you in 3 rooms, that means we should have 3 people in each room. Okay. All right. So join the room and you're going to need to be able to see these phrases. Okay, so make sure that you've got your document available. I'm going to put you into rooms and I'd like you to join. I'd like you to discuss. Best, can you move into your room, please? Empire, can you move into your room, please?
Okay, good. So what about F? Where did you decide that should go? Going to talk to you about where do you think that would be the best place?
The title.
Okay. Right. Okay. And so what about G? Where did you decide to put that? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. Let me start by introducing myself. Where did you decide to put this?
Greeting.
Yeah, greeting.
Good. And what about H? Where did you decide to put that?
The length of the time.
Okay, good. I think that's a good phrase to use to talk about how long you're going to be speaking. Okay. Okay, and what about I? There'll be time for questions at the end of the talk, but if there's anything you're unclear about, please interrupt me. Where would you put that?
A statement as to when the audience may ask questions.
Okay, good. That's fine. Okay. And my talk will cover 4 areas. Firstly, we'll look at, then we'll move on to, so where are you going to put that, do you think?
The main part.
So yeah, possibly going to put it in here. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. We're going to put those.
Statement of when audience may ask question.
Mhm. Okay. All right. And what about the last one? During my talk, I'll be showing you a number of slides, transparencies. Where are we going to put that?
Mention of visual aid.
Okay, good. All right, good. So when we're at the center, you get 10 minutes break every hour. Is that correct? When we're at
Yeah.
in center. So shall we keep that the same? Shall we take a 10-minute break now?
Yes.
So 10-minute break. I'll see you all back in 10 minutes.
Okay. See you, sir.
Okay, that's 10 minutes. Hopefully everybody's back. So let's have a look at this section, linking the parts of your presentation. Now, we said earlier that when you are doing a presentation, you need to link the different parts of your presentation. And golden rule here is tell them what you're going to tell them. Second stage, tell them. And then 3, tell them what you've told them. So there's like 3 different steps to this process. Why is this necessary? You think you're going to tell them what you're going to tell them, you're going to tell them, and then you're going to tell them what you told them. What's the purpose behind it? Anybody?
To remind them what you have told them.
So the purpose of your presentation is to impart knowledge. Yeah, that's the idea. And so, yeah, the purpose is help them to remember. Okay. Now, there are a number of possible phrases we could use. I'm not going to worry about this. Right. Let's just use these phrases. So, let's say you have 4 different topics that you really need to cover in your presentation. 4 different steps or stages to your presentation. So you will give an introduction and then you will say a phrase such as this. So that's my introduction. Let's start with, and for example, the company, its size, its location. Okay, and then you will talk about the company, its size, and its location. When you've finished talking about the company and its size, then you will explain that you've finished. So we've looked at the company, its size, its location, etc. That means that that section is now finished. Now let's look at what the company does and its customers. Okay. So you're introducing step 3. The third topic that you're going to discuss, that covers what the company does and its customers. So that when we use this phrase, we know that this is finished. Now, I'd like to go on to what the company is doing at the moment. Okay, so talk about what the company is doing right now. Topic 4, that's what the company is doing at the moment. What about the future? Okay, so as you can see, you explain that one topic is finished and that you're introducing a new topic. So you looked at size and location. Now look at what the company does. We've looked at what the company does. Now let's go on to what the company is doing right now. What's the company doing right now? What about the future? Okay, so we can use these phrases to stage the different parts of your presentation. And when you finish off, what are the steps that you need to take when you are finishing? Well, for example, we need to signal the end. What do we mean by signal the end, do you think? You're coming towards the end of your presentation, you need to signal the end of your presentation. What does signal mean? Anybody?
It's like telling them that the presentation is done.
Okay, all right. So they can see, they can understand that the presentation is finished, then you need to summarize. Okay, and summarizing, what you're going to do when you are summarizing, do you think? When you're summarizing, you're going to go over the main points of your presentation again. So if there's 4 points, explain those 4 points for the purpose of your audience remembering. And then some presentations will require concluding. What's the difference between summarizing and concluding?
When you conclude, you don't go over the main points, like the 4 points again. You just
Well, what's the purpose of concluding? Now, not all presentations are going to have a conclusion, not all of them. So summarizing, you're going to go over your main points. So my first point was this, second point, third point, fourth point. Let's say, for example, you're doing a presentation and you're doing a presentation on buildings around Bangkok that Finn College could move to. Maybe Finn Business School is going to expand, and maybe they're going to have 2 or 3 new locations. And your job was to find possible buildings that they could move into. So you look at 3 or 4 different buildings. And when you are summarizing, you will talk about what is good about each building and what's not so great about each building. What would your conclusion be, do you think, if that's your task? That's the purpose of your presentation. You talk about 3 or 4 different buildings that Finn Business School could move into. What will your conclusion be?
maybe choose
Okay.
one.
Okay, so your conclusion could be maybe just 1 building or 2 buildings, but that's your conclusion. I think we should move into this building. I think we should move into these buildings. So you may be concluding and recommending, may be a bit of crossover. You're going to be recommending 1 building above other buildings. Closing, you're going to explain that you've finished your presentation and then invite questions to see if anybody has any questions about your presentation. Okay, so again, we've got some phrases here. And just very quickly, I'd like to look at where you think these phrases should go. As you can see from my talk, maybe we could use these phrases in different sections. What do you think? As you can see from my talk, where would you put that, do you think?
Summarizing.
Okay, I would say, yeah, it's very possibly summarizing. It may even be, I beg your pardon, it may be concluding. It's possible. Okay. Okay. That completes my presentation. So that's you signaling the end. We've already got that one. That covers everything I wanted to say. Why would you say that, you think?
Signaling the end.
Okay. And to sum up, why do you sum up?
Summarizing.
Okay. So summarizing, yeah. To sum up, D. So just to summarize what I've said, why would you say that?
Summarizing.
Same thing again, summarizing. Okay. I would like to recommend Why would you say that?
Recommending.
Recommend.
So F, okay. Alright, and in my opinion, we should,
Concluding.
okay, so we may use that in recommending as well. And but we could use it in concluding too. Okay. I would like to propose that way. So if you propose, you're suggesting something. Where would that go?
Recommend.
Oh, yeah, definitely making a recommendation. Let me go over the main points of my talk again. Why would you say that?
Summarize.
Summarizing.
Summarize it. Let me go over the main points of my talk. Okay. I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. Why would we say that? I will be happy to answer any questions you might have. Why would we suggest that?
Inviting questions.
All right, so you're inviting questions, you're asking people to let you know what questions they have. Good, all right. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Closings.
The end.
So,
Closing.
well, yeah, I think you're right. Okay, so that's K. And in conclusion,
Concluding.
okay. So are there any questions?
Inviting.
Inviting
questions.
question.
And that brings me to the end of my presentation.
Signaling the end.
And so, does anyone have a question?
Inviting question.
Good. Thank you for coming today.
Closing.
All right. Yeah, I think that would be a great place for it. Okay. Now, you've got phrases for opening your presentation. You've got phrases for linking the different parts of your presentation. And you got phrases for finishing off a presentation. Now, we're going to come back to these later, hopefully. But first of all, we are going to listen to a great example of a presentation. Okay. So, look at these items. Look at the pictures. And what I want you to do is I want you to match the picture with the item. So what about lawnmower? Which one's a lawnmower, you think?
Number 4.
Number 4. So this is a lawnmower for use for cleaning, for cutting your grass in your garden. Okay. What about number 1? What's number 1 going to be?
Dishwasher.
Not a dishwasher, I don't think. No.
I
I
think
think
it's
that's
a
a cooker. Yeah.
Cooker.
Cooker.
And what about number 3?
Refrigerator.
Freezer.
Huh?
Refrigerator.
Number 3 is a refrigerator. Number 4, we said lawnmower. What about number 5?
Washing machine.
And number 6.
Freezer.
Freezer.
And number 7,
Dishwasher.
dishwasher. Okay. All right, now, very important to get stress right. When you are saying words, you need to stress them correctly. For example, photograph, which is the strong part of the word here? Photograph, photograph. First part is the strong part of the word. Where's the strong part of the word here? We've got photograph, photographer. So where's the strong part of the word? Is it the first syllable, the second syllable, the third syllable, fourth syllable? Photograph, it's the first syllable. Photographer, where's the strong part of the word?
Second syllables.
Okay, now, if you say photographer, like this, people will not know what you're talking about. But if you say photographer, then they will fully understand. So let's have a quick look at these stresses. Lawnmower, where's the stress? 1, 2, or 3? Lawnmower, where's the stress? 1, 2, or 3?
First syllables, I think.
Lawnmower.
Lawn, the lawn, yeah.
Freezer, we've got 2 syllables. Which is the strong one? First or second?
First. Yeah.
Refrigerator. Where's the stress? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 syllables. Refrigerate, 5 syllables.
Second.
Yeah, refrigerate. Dishwasher. Where's the stress?
First.
Okay. First or second? Cooker. First syllable. Cooker. Vacuum cleaner. So we got 2 words. Vacuum. Where's the stress? First or second?
First.
Vacuum cleaner. Where's the stress on that? First or second?
First again, I think.
Okay. Now these items are all from a company called Electrolux. Okay, now in Thailand, you tend to stress the last syllable. So you would say Electrolux, but the actual stress is Electrolux. So the stress is here. Okay. So I'm going to play a recording and you're going to listen to a very short presentation of this company, Electrolux. What I want you to do, I want you to listen to the presentation and I want you to write these details down. So for example, nationality, what's going to go in here, you think?
Countries.
No, not really the country. I'm British. My country is the UK. How is that different? You're from Thailand. What's your nationality?
Thai,
So Thai is the passport that you carry. Head office, what's that going to be? Where's it going to be, you think?
Cities?
So it's probably, very probably going to be a city. Started, what do you think started's going to be?
Year, I think.
Probably a year. And the world's first vacuum cleaner. When's that going to be?
year,
It's going to be another year. Okay. First fridge
Year.
employs people.
Numbers.
It's probably going to be a number of people. Sells its products in countries.
Numbers.
Number of countries. Worldwide turnover.
Also
Europe.
number.
So it's going to be a number. It's probably going to be a big number. And Electrolux has two global divisions. So divisions represent parts of their company, and they have two. One is consumer durables. Well, these are consumer durables. These are things for your house. This is what consumers buy. But they also have a professional products division, and their professional products are for things like for offices or for factories, things that people need for their job rather than need at home. Okay. So you're going to listen to a recording, and what I want you to do is I want you to write down the details of each item. I'll play it for you twice so that you can pick it up the second time. Off we go.
We sold 100 units in
What? Sorry.
2.5.
First, I'd like to welcome you all to Electrolux and give you a brief introduction to the company before we begin our tour. As you know, Electrolux is a Swedish company with its head office here in Stockholm. Now, I expect when you hear the name Electrolux, you probably think of a refrigerator, or a fridge as we usually call it, or maybe a vacuum cleaner, and in fact, these were the company's first two products. Electrolux started as a company in 1921, when it produced the world's first vacuum cleaner. 4 years later, in 1925, it produced its first refrigerator, and these are still two of its best-known products. But today, the company is very different from what it was in 1921. What you perhaps don't know is that it now owns many well-known consumer brands, including AEG, Zanussi, Frigidaire, Flymo, and Husqvarna & Partner, and this makes it the world's largest producer of powered appliances for kitchen, cleaning, and outdoor use. Today it employs 81,971 people and sells its products in more than 150 countries. Its worldwide turnover in 2002 was 14,552 million euros. It has two global divisions called Consumer Durables and Professional Products. 75% of the company's sales comes from the Consumer Durables division. This division includes the appliances we have in our homes, for example, cookers, vacuum cleaners, and washing machines. Professional products includes much larger appliances, for example, food service equipment for hotels and restaurants, and outdoor products for the garden. Right, that's all I'll say about the company for the moment. I hope that gives you a general idea to start with. I'll be happy to answer any questions, then we'll begin our tour.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you just to check your answers with your partner. See if you've got the same answers. Okay, so just share your answers as a group, see if you've got the same thing. Okay, I'll play the recording again so that you can check the details. Here we go.
2.5.
First, I'd like to welcome you all to Electrolux and give you a brief introduction to the company before we begin our tour. As you know, Electrolux is a Swedish company with its head office here in Stockholm. Now, I expect when you hear the name Electrolux, you probably think of a refrigerator, or a fridge as we usually call it, or maybe a vacuum cleaner, and in fact, these were the company's first two products. Electrolux started as a company in 1921, when it produced the world's first vacuum cleaner. 4 years later, in 1925, it produced its first refrigerator, and these are still two of its best-known products. But today, the company is very different from what it was in 1921. What you perhaps don't know is that it now owns many well-known consumer brands, including AEG, Zanussi, Frigidaire, Flymo, and Husqvarna and Partner, and this makes it the world's largest producer of powered appliances for kitchen, cleaning, and outdoor use. Today it employs 81,971 people and sells its products in more than 150 countries. Its worldwide turnover in 2002 was 14,552 million euros. It has two global divisions called Consumer Durables and Professional Products. 75% of the company's sales comes from the Consumer Durables division. This division includes the appliances we have in our homes, for example cookers, vacuum cleaners, and washing machines. Professional products includes much larger appliances, for example food service equipment for hotels and restaurants, and outdoor products for the garden. Right, that's all I'll say about the company for the moment. I hope that gives you a general idea to start with. I'll be happy to answer any questions, then we'll begin our tour.
Okay, check your answers, see what you've got. Okay, what was the nationality?
Swedish.
Okay, and where's the head office?
Stockholm.
How do you spell Stockholm?
STOCKCORN.
HOLM, Stockholm. Started when?
Stockholm. 1921.
World's first vacuum cleaner?
Also 1921.
And the first fridge, when was that?
1925.
And employees, how many people?
81,971.
81,900 and how many?
71.
Good. And how many countries does it sell its products to?
150.
150.
50.
150. Okay, and the big number, it's turnover. What does turnover mean? The total value of business done in 1 year. This is not profit. This is turnover. That's all the money that the company has made in 1 year. And what's the worldwide turnover?
14,552 million.
Again,
14,552 million.
okay, so we need an and there. 14,552. So we put and before the 10. Okay. So what percent of the company's sales are consumer durables?
15%.
Not 15, don't think so. Let's listen to what she said.
Wait, 75.
Door products for the garden. Right, that's all our service equipment for hotels and restaurants, and outdoor products for the garden. Right, that's much larger appliances. For example, food service equipment for hotels and restaurants, and outdoor products for the garden.
Can't find it, but the answer was 75%. Okay. All right, good. Now we've got some information about Electrolux, which is great. And what I'm going to ask you guys to do is I'm going to ask you guys to do a short presentation. And what I want you to do, I want you to use the phrases that you learn from here. Okay, I want you to use these phrases where they are appropriate. Okay, and I want you to tell me this information. Now I'm going to put you into two groups. Group A, you are going to do a short presentation on Unilever, and I want everybody to take part in that conversation. So these are some of the products that Unilever produce. Some of them you're very familiar with, margarine. Okay. So group A, you've got the information here to talk about Unilever. And group B, I'm going to give you a company which is not in Thailand, and this is Renault. Renault is a car company. And this is information about Renault. Okay. All right. Now, let's see how many people you are. Now, what I want you to do, I want everybody to take part in this presentation. So I want you to hand over to each other. I'm now going to hand you over to ConX, who's going to tell you about company's location or whatever it is. Thanks, Con-Y. As ConX said, now going to tell you about. Okay, so you're going to hand over in a professional way so that your partner can talk about the next part of the information. Now, I'm going to put you into two breakout rooms. Okay, and who have we got now? Let's see. We've got Best, who's not here. Okay, Kritsuna. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. All right, so we've got 4. I'm going to put you into pairs. Okay. And okay, so okay. best amendment. Okay, guys, are you clear what I want you to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you into rooms, and I'll put Best into room 2, but Best isn't going to say anything because he doesn't have a microphone for a presentation skills class. Okay, so I'll put him in room 2, but in room 2, don't think that Best is going to speak because he's probably not. All right. How long do you need to prepare, do you think?
5 minutes, I think, maybe.
5 minutes. Okay. All right. So what time is it now? 11:47. All right. So look, let me give you 5 minutes. Maybe make it a little bit longer. Let's make it 10 minutes. Okay. All right. And then we'll take a short break. When you come back, you can do your presentation. I'll give you 10 minutes. I'll give you 10 minutes preparation. By the time you're organized, it's probably, I'll give you a little bit of time to discuss. Give you a little time to practice it as well. Okay. All right. So I'll give you 10 minutes time from now. Off you go. Retsanu, are you going to join a group, do you think?
Okay.
So Nina, are you going to join a group? I'm going to put you in room 2 with Kitsuna.
Yes.
Kitsuna, can you join the group, please? You join the
Okay.
Okay.
Teacher John, may I join the group? I can use my mic now. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, are you back with us? No, you're still in your breakout room, so I'm going to bring you back. Okay, we're just waiting for Mai and Kritsunu to come back. Okay, all right, good. So you've had a bit of a time to talk about this. You've looked at some, hopefully looked at some phrases to use that we can use in your presentation. So I'm going to ask Group A to talk about Unilever. Okay, and Group A is Beth, May, and Yuri. All right, go ahead. Let's see what you've got.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Puri Katapai. I am here to tell you about little information about Unilever. I am going to talk about Unilever nationality, when it started, where the head office is, how many employees, worldwide turnover, and spending on research and development. So Unilever nationality is British Dutch. We started in 1930. Our head office is in Rotterdam and London. We employ around 470,000 people in 57 countries. Our worldwide turnover is 78,760 million pounds. We spend around 2.3% of our turnover in research and development. I'm going to hand you over to Mai to tell about global division, business group, and sells its products in.
Thank you, Puri. Right. The global division in Unilever thought their food already have over 50% of sale, home and personal care. And our business group is already 10 regional groups, so that our firm can meet the need of local market. We sell the products to over 150 countries, to 150 million customers worldwide. So next, Bess will tell you guys about the products that are well known to customers from Unilever.
Thank you, Mai. So the Unilever product we have is food and home and personal care. For the first is the food, we have Knorr, Lipton tea, Hellman mayonnaise, Magnum ice cream, and Flora. And the second is home and personal care. We have Omo, Stiff, Domestos, Dove, and Lux. That's all we have it.
That's all we have it. No closing. Okay, all right. Thanks very much. Okay, that was good. Thank you. All right, what about Group B? Why don't you talk about Renault.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. No. Okay. Again.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your guys coming today. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Nina Paladi Katanapanyat, and today I'm gonna present you about Renault Company. So, Renault Company is started in 1898. It's had company in France. Its head office is in Paris. It's about machines. And Renault Company have 132,551 employees in 36 countries. The company is worldwide turnover is 36 million euro, and it has division about automotive around 90% of revenue, and about finance around 5% of revenue. And the company is spent around 5% of the revenue on R&D. And I'm now going to hand you over to Gizmo, who is going to tell you about the automotive divisions.
Thanks, Nina. As she says, I'm gonna tell you about the automotive divisions, which Renault have two groups. So the first one is the Renault Group, which have Renault Samsung, which is located in South Korea, and Dacia, which is located in Romania, and it is the third largest company in France, which have 4.4% of the world market shares. And the top selling model is Megane, Clio, and Laguna. So the second is, which is the Renault Nissan Group, is the world 5 largest automobile manufacturer. So if you if you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is all my presentation.
Okay, all right. That's it. Game over. Is it finished? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Now, how could you have improved your presentation, do you think?
Maybe more information about the company we're doing.
Yeah, possibly. Where would you get that information?
Anywhere, really.
So how would you get that information?
Google search.
Do some research, preparation. So clearly your presentations were pretty good, but they would benefit more from some research and more time to prepare. So the groups that you're in right now, I'm going to ask you to do a presentation at the end of this course, okay? I'm not going to talk about it right now, but we will talk about it in the next class. But right now, I just want you to remember which groups you're in. So Group A, you are Best, May, and Puri. Okay, and just give me a moment. And Group B, you are Sanu and Nina. Okay. So I'll tell you more about this information on what presentation you're going to do. I'll tell you about that in the next class on Tuesday. Okay. But that was quite good. Thank you very much for your effort. Can you open part 2 of the material that I sent you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, now, one of the things that you may find you have to do in a presentation is to talk about information. And to do that, in a presentation, you're going to use charts, graphs, and tables. Okay. And first of all, let's have a look at these. These are items we might use in a presentation. What I want you to do is to tell me what type of illustration they are. So what's A?
Pie chart.
Okay. And what you're going to use the pie chart for? What's the purpose?
To tell percentage difference of like all over.
Okay, so perhaps this is Apple, right? We're talking about mobile phones. So maybe this is Apple, and maybe this is Samsung. And maybe this is other phones. So it's a great way of providing a comparison in a presentation. Okay. What about B? What would we call B?
Flow chart.
Like
No, it's not a
graph.
phone.
Line.
It's a line graph. And what do we use line graphs for normally? Usually at the bottom, we have time. Okay, and usually, oh, I can't write very well with this mouse. And at the other side, we have amount. So let's say, for example, your time is 1 year, and line graphs will give you a really good visual description of things like sales or revenue. Okay, so it'll be January to February, and you can see which were your best months, which were your poor months. What we're going to call C, we think.
Bar graph.
We've got bar charts here. Okay, and what can we do with bar charts? Well, we can do the same as a pie chart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can compare different items next to each other. We've got item 1, item 2, so there's 3 and 4. So we can use it for that purpose. Direct comparison of different things. But we can also use it like a line graph. So we could again have amount at this time and time across it. So it could be used as very basic line graph. And if we've only got a small amount of information to present, maybe a bar chart would be advantageous. But if we've got a lot of information to present, maybe a line graph is going to be better, particularly if it has time involved. Okay, what about D? What's D going to be?
Tables.
It's a table. And what we're going to use a table for in a presentation, do you think?
Maybe for detailed information that have to be tracked.
So we could use it maybe like a line graph, but it's just going to be the numbers, yeah? So is it going to be as visual as a line graph, a table?
No.
No. We could use it like a pie chart, and we could use it like a bar chart, but again, it's just going to be the numbers. So is it going to be very clear?
Not really.
So I won't say don't use it, depending on what you are using it for. Typically, people don't use table in presentations because it's too difficult to see the information. So what about E? What do we call E?
Flow chart.
And what do we use flow charts for? What's the purpose?
Algorithm.
For like information that have to see in like process.
Okay, so it's a process. Step 1, step 2, and step 3. Okay, so if you've got a process that you need to explain, flowcharts are very good at that. And what about F? What are we going to use F for? You think?
To show a position what we are in the company.
Okay, so this is called an organization chart. Okay, and you may also hear this word, organization. That's spelled right. Yeah, that's American spelling. Okay, you may also hear this called an organogram. Okay, it's the same, it's a different word for the same thing, an organogram. Okay, and what's the purpose? Well, we can show, for example, who's the CEO, who's the manager, who's the assistant manager. So it just shows where people's positions are in a company. Okay. Great. So what we're going to focus on right in this part of the presentation is we're going to look at line graphs, because line graphs are most often used in presentations. So have a look at exercise number 2. We're going to talk about line graphs in particular. Okay. And have a look at these sentences. Exports fell slightly and then improved. So fell, is that up or down?
Down,
Slightly, is that a lot or a little?
just little,
And improved, is that better or worse?
better.
Unemployment decreased steadily. If something decreased, does it go up or down?
Down,
And is it a very smooth change or does it move many, many times?
it's just smoothly going.
So
down.
if it's steady, it's a nice smooth change. It changes, it's not erratic, it doesn't change very quickly, it's nice and smooth. And then remain stable. What does remain stable mean?
Stagnate, it doesn't go any further down.
So it didn't go up, doesn't go down, it just stays where it is, stays at the same level. Sales rose sharply. So rose up or down?
Up
And sharply. A lot or a little?
a lot.
Reached a peak in the summer. So what's a peak? Well, if this is a mountain, this is going to be the peak. Okay, so when we're talking about information, what does the peak mean?
Highest.
It's the highest point of the information. It's the most money, it's the most number of people, it's whatever the information is, it's the highest point. Production costs went up dramatically. So Went up, obviously up dramatically. A lot or a little?
A lot.
This is a very, very steep change. If something goes up dramatically, then it's really going a lot. Okay, the move is very different. And then leveled off. If something leveled off, does it go up or does it go down?
Go down.
No, level off means it stays the same. Okay, so we may go up and then level off. Okay, so that's an example of level off. So leveled off or remain stable. All right, good. Have a look at these graphs. What I want you to do is I want you to tell me which graph is represented by which description. So exports fell slightly and then improved. So if they fell slightly and then improved, they went down a little bit and then got better. Which graph are we talking about, you think?
B.
B? Okay. Unemployment decreased steadily, then remained stable. Which graph do you think we're talking about there?
D.
Again, sorry? D, did you say?
Yeah.
Sales rose sharply and reached a peak in the summer.
C.
Well, let's have a look at the next one. Production costs went up dramatically and then leveled off. So this is a really big change. Went up dramatically and then leveled off. So that means the same as remain stable. They stayed at the same number. So what's number 4, do you think?
Should be C.
I think so. And so number 3 is going to be A. Yeah. Okay, so look, this is some language that we can use when we're talking about line graphs. Changes in information. And this is how we talk about it. Exports fell slightly, then improved. Unemployment decreased steadily, then remained stable. Sales rose sharply, reached a peak in the summer. These are the words that we use. We're going to have a quick look at those words right now. Okay. So these are verbs which talk about change. Yeah. Go up. What's the past tense of go up? Went up. What about improve? What's the past tense of improve?
Improve.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute, guys. Sorry about that. My cat's just been ill in my bedroom. Okay, so go up, past tense went up. Improve,
Improve.
improve. Increase,
Increase.
now how do we say that final D sound? Increased. It's like a G sound. Rise,
Rose.
decrease,
Decrease.
fall,
Fail.
go down,
Went down.
okay, and now verbs we can change into nouns. So instead of saying improved, what would be the noun for improved, do you think?
Improvement.
Okay, and an improvement. So we would say there was an improvement. What about increase?
An increase.
And rise, what's the noun for this?
And rise.
And decrease, what's that going to be?
A decrease.
And fall
A fall.
and fall. Okay, so only really improve is different. Okay, so how do we use those? Sales improved. There was an improvement in sales. Okay. Okay, so have a look at these graphs, and here we've got 4 adverbs. Adverbs will change the verb. So for example, went down, slightly, steadily, sharply, dramatically. So these adverbs explain the change. So slightly, which graph do you think would be slightly?
Number 3.
Okay. Which one sharply? Sorry, which one steadily, do you think?
Number 1.
Okay, and which one dramatically, do you think?
Number 2.
And number 4?
Sharply.
Okay, so why is number 4 sharply and number 1 steadily? Why is number 1 steadily, number 4 sharply?
There's a sudden increase.
So steadily is a very smooth change, okay? And sharply is just talking about how high the change is. And as you can see, there's a lot of changes here. Okay, so steadily, dramatically, sharply. So sharply is just talking about the size of the increase. Steadily is talking about the quality of the increase. It's a nice and smooth change. Okay. Okay, good. Now have a look at these sentences. We've got prepositions to talk about increases. Which prepositions do we use with which sentence? Sales rose by 2%. Okay, so by 2%. And there was a slight increase in the rate of inflation. So this is an adjective and a noun. So let's go back here. What's the adjective for steadily, do you think? Steady. The adjective is steady. Dramatically. What's the adjective for dramatically, do you think?
Just dramatic.
Dramatic.
Slightly. What do you think the adjective is for slightly?
Slight.
And sharply. What's the
Sharp.
Okay, so we've got sharply, sharp, steadily, steady, dramatically, dramatic, slightly, slight. Okay, now. So number 2, as you can see, is an adjective and a noun. There was a slight increase in the rate of inflation. So in something, by an amount. There was a fall of 2.5% in exports. So these are the prepositions that we use to talk about changes. Unemployment remains stable at 2.5 million. So at an amount. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. Production went down from 5,000 units to 4,400 units. Prices increased by €5 per item. Okay, so what about number 1? What do you think it's going to be? Have a look at the examples.
Daily.
Which preposition are we going to use here?
By.
Sales went up by.
By.
Inflation remains stable, 2.5%. Which preposition?
At 2.5%.
There was a steady decrease production costs. Which preposition?
In production costs.
Okay. And exports fell 1,000 units, 870 units.
From 1,000 unit to 870.
Production costs rose. Which preposition are we going to put in here?
By again.
Okay. And we need 2 prepositions here. There was a rise, 3% salaries. What's that?
There was a rise of 3% in salaries.
Rise of 3%
in salaries.
in salary. Okay, good. Now, with all that information, you are going to listen to a sales manager describing his company's sales figures. What I want you to do is, as he's speaking, I want you to draw your graph. Okay. So as he's talking about the figures, I want you to draw in the amounts that he's talking about. So maybe it's going to look something like this. I don't know. Your job is to listen and to draw the graph as he is explaining it. Okay, so we've got 150 units on this side, and then we've got the months of the year at the bottom. Okay. Do you understand my instructions?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to share the sound with you just to make sure. Okay, and let's listen to what he has to say. Off you go.
7.5. We sold 100 units in January, and sales remained stable until March, when there was an increase of 10%, and sales went up to 110. They continued to rise steadily in the next 2 months and reached a peak of 145 units in June. In July and August, they fell slightly to 140, and there was a further decrease in September to 130. Sales leveled off at this figure in October and November, and in December, we saw an improvement to 135.
Okay, so obviously he's speaking quite quickly. Fan. Who's Fan? Must be a new member to the class. Okay. So let's listen to it again. Off we go.
7.5. We sold 100 units in January, and sales remained stable until March, when there was an increase of 10%, and sales went up to 110. They continued to rise steadily in the next 2 months and reached a peak of 145 units in June. In July and August, they fell slightly to 140, and there was a further decrease in September to 130. Sales leveled off at this figure in October and November, and in December, we saw an improvement to 135.
Okay. All right. Now, can you take a screenshot of your graph? And can you send it to me by chat? As you can see, I've just sent you a screenshot. Can you send me, can you send me your screenshot of what you've just drawn? Okay, so I'm going to play it again. And what I want you to do is I want you to draw what this person is saying in this graph. And then I want you to send me a screenshot of what you've drawn. Here we go.
7.5. We sold 100 units in January, and sales remained stable until March, when there was an increase of 10%, and sales went up to 110. They continued to rise steadily in the next 2 months and reached a peak of 145 units in June. In July and August, they fell slightly to 140, and there was a further decrease in September to 130. Sales leveled off at this figure in October and November, and in December, we saw an improvement to 135.
Okay. All right, send me your graphs. Let's have a look at what you've drawn. Okay. Anybody else can send me what they've drawn. I've got Kritsano, and I've got Nina. How about the others? Fury? Okay, looks about right. Okay, so let's play it again, but this time a little bit slower. Okay. Okay, here we go.
Seven point five. We sold 100 units in January, and sales remained stable until March.
So we sold 100 units in January. What happened? Sales remained
Stable to
until March. Bit difficult for me to draw this, but let's see what I could do. So it's about this. And then what happened in March?
When there was an increase of 10% and sales went up to 110. They could
So where did sales go up to? 100 and whoops. $110. Cool. Okay, what happened next?
continued to rise steadily in the next 2 months and reached a peak of 145 units in June.
So what happened? Increased steadily, 145 units in June. Good. Okay, and let's continue.
In July and August, they fell slightly to 140.
So July and August fell slightly to about 140. Oh,
And there was a further decrease in September to 130.
decrease to 130 in September.
Sales leveled off at this figure in October and November, and
Sales leveled off in October and November.
and in December, we saw an improvement to 135.
Then went back up to 135. So not perfect, but that's roughly what your graph should look like. Okay. Good. Now, this is what I'm going to do. This is a little bit of homework for you. Okay. Group A. That is Best, May, and okay, we've got new members of the class now, right? So let's see who's here. Best, Fran, Kritsanoy, May, and Nina. Okay, so see who we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, nice and easy. So best Pham and Kritsunu. You're going to be A. B, you are going to be May, Nina, and Curie. So this is what I want you to do. Okay, with your partners, I want you to draw a graph. I would recommend it not being a really difficult graph to draw, but fairly straightforward graph. You're going to draw your own graph. It could be like this. Don't know. Okay, 5 or 6 changes. 4, 5 or 6 changes. Team B, you are going to draw your graph, and it's going to look something like this. Up to you how you draw it. And what I want you to do, I want you to present your graph to me and to the other team. Now, we will listen to you. And so student A, when you describe your graph, we will draw your graph, and you should be able to draw it perfectly based on your description. And participant B, same thing. You're going to describe your graph to participant A, and we're going to draw what you say based on your description. Okay. All right. Any questions? No? Okay, well, this is going to be your homework. All right, and I want you to prepare this for Tuesday of next week. That's when your next class is. Okay. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you guys Tuesday of next week then. Okay. All right, any questions about what we've covered today? Okay, no questions. Right, so we're up to there. We're going to be using this material again next week, but I'll send this to you anyway. Okay. All right, good. All right, so I'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you for coming, and I'll have a great weekend. Okay. Hope everything is fine for you over the weekend. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a great evening and a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you later.